Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Green here with NoMoreNews.org. Today is Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to share with you some of the headlines and news that has been catching my eye and I find worth covering. To begin with, of course, I want to do a quick announcement. Give us a thumbs up on the video to help the algorithm. Make sure to go to nomorenews.org and if you want to get in contact, or there's t-shirts, check out the featured videos, and most important, subscribe to BitChute, DLive, and I'm also up on brand new tube, bnt.com as well, brand new tube. So, getting into the news, we have Trump believes he is chosen once again. Got the title today, Trump Sent by God. This has been a theme we've been seeing since before he was elected. I've been covering it extensively. The belief that Trump is some type of a biblical figure. Here's Trump's top donor, Sheldon Adelson's wife, Miriam Adelson. He's giving her the top civilian award. She says that she hopes there will be a biblical book of Trump. Let's play this gentleman that was just interviewed on a local news station. This is literally what they're programming Trump's followers to believe. The evangelical Christians. I just exposed the CMP the other day. We read the documents, the Council for National Policy. This is the influence. This is the result of their Zionist indoctrination propaganda to view Trump as some savior, biblical figure that's helping Israel, giving Israel everything at once, fulfilling prophecy. QAnon is very similar as well, the psyop of QAnon to get Trump to also make excuses and almost worship Trump and Q as some type of savior.
Not kidding. I truly believe that Donald Trump was sent by God. True. He's not perfect. He's a sinner. But if you read the Bible, so was Moses, so was David, so was everybody. Not kidding. I truly believe that Donald Trump was sent by God.
Truly believe sent by God to save the world and to save Israel, most importantly, in their eyes. So back when, let's see, August 23rd, so about just over a year ago, Trump retweeted somebody else saying that he was the king of Israel. I made a video about that. The Book of Trump, the Chosen One. Play that real quick. Little refresher. It's a little 2-minute and 20-second video that I made. Also, that's under the limit for Twitter. It was a Twitter video.
Don't forget, I don't know if you haven't watched the show, I happen to be Jewish by birth, and 75% of all Jews vote Democrat.
This is Newsmax TV, I want to add. They're connected to the Council for National Policy. Ruddy is the founder there. His name's something Ruddy. He's close friends with Trump. He hires Jacob Wohl's partner in crime, Bernstein, or Berkstein. What is his name? Jack something Burke.
And they don't like Trump. And this is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world, not just America. Trump's the best president for Israel in the history of
the world. That's Jack Berkman that works for Newsmax. Donald Trump retweeted, "Thank you, Wayne Allen Root, for the very nice words. President Trump is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world. Not just America. He is the best president for Israel in the history of the world. And the Jewish people in Israel love him."
Of the world. And the Jewish people love him like he world, not just America. Trump's the best president for Israel in the history of the world. And the Jewish people love him like he is the king of Israel. They love him like he is the second coming of God.
Can you hear any more of a depressing thing if you got duped by the America First, Make America Great Again agenda, the lie, when the president of the United States is being called the king of a foreign country, the tiny little country that they're all obsessed with because of prophecy. And this is what all the Christian Zionist preachers have been pushing all over the internet, all over in the documentaries. Pat Robertson, Friends of Zion, Hagee, John Hagee's Kufi, Christians United for Israel, just got busted, being paid directly by the Israeli government. And he didn't register as a lobbyist. True News was exposing that the other day.
I am the chosen one, chosen one, chosen one. I am the chosen one, chosen one, chosen one.
Marching to Zion. Trump upset victory divinely sent to begin messianic process, says rabbis. Breaking Israel news. Trump's election heralds coming of Messiah, says Derry. All the mystical Chabad rabbis. Sarah Sanders. God wanted Donald Trump to become president. Trump, the guy that just was in the news the other day, apparently King Jong-un winked at Sarah Sanders. He found her sexy, I guess, and gave her a wink. And Trump reportedly told her to take one for the team and make peace with North Korea by via Sarah Sanders. I saw Tripoli made a joke that that's more of a declaration of war to offer up Sarah Sanders. But she says God wanted Donald Trump to become president. This is the narrative that they've been repeating, and people believe it. Pompeo also. Rapture Christian Zionist fanatic that worships Israel, just gushes over Netanyahu. Pompeo says God may have sent Trump to save Israel from Iran. Ivanka Trump nicknamed a savior Jewish Queen Esther, who stopped annihilation of Jews by Jared Kushner's synagogue. Kushner's Chabad synagogue thinks that she's Queen Esther. So in their minds, they think that she is going to convince Trump to let the Jews destroy all of the anti-Semites that are out to get them, following the Purim story. Michelle Bachmann, she says, quote, "We will never see a more godly biblical president." She did the video saying, elect Trump and elect Bolsonaro in Brazil because he wants to move the embassy. She says, you got to vote for a president that's going to support Israel and wants to move the embassy to Jerusalem because it's so important. And they said they do it, or they did do it. And they're just temple fanatics. It's so important for them to move the embassy. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. Michelle Bachmann. Adelson hails Trump as likely the best president for Israel ever. Netanyahu, Israel has never had a better friend than Trump. Netanyahu's son, Trump a rock star, best friends Jews ever had. Israelis love Trump more than almost any other nation, polls show. 69% of Israelis express confidence in Trump as president. And he is always bragging about this as well. He's always bragging about this. Look, I think I have it right here.
A lot of horsepower here. And you're always going to have bad apples. And thank you to the Council for National Policy. My brother Robert would have wanted me to be here today. Thank you.
Where is
also
it?
joined by a lot of horsepower. And you're always going to have bad apples. Governor DeSantis, right? Your talent. It's like Israel.
Here it is.
I could run in Israel, and I think they said I'm probably a 98%.
Imagine a guy that ran on a platform of Make America Great Again, America First, is bragging that he would win the presidency in a foreign country.
I could run in Israel, and I think they said I'm probably a 98% approval rating in Israel. So it's been good.
Isn't that nice? Uh-oh. All right, what is going on here? We're frozen, apparently. Okay. Apologize, guys. I'm having computer problems. Okay. Israelis love Trump more than almost any other nation. From the poll, 69% of Israelis support Trump. They like him more than Obama. There he is bragging again. He always does it. Buildings, cities, Trump Heights being named after Trump. The Western Wall station. Even U.S. Jews are more likely to say than Christians to say Trump favors Israelis too much. So Trump is too pro-Israel. For the Jews are more upset about Trump being pro-Israel than the Christians are. All about prophecy. Half of evangelicals support Israel because they believe it is important for fulfilling end times prophecy. You know, I did the CNP, Council for National Policy video, and you just really can't understate the influence and the magnitude that prophecy is driving our politicians. And a prophecy originated state in the Zionist state is influencing the West in general, especially the last 100 years. He's going to cause the world to end. Whose Messiah does he think he is? Okay, now, so we'll probably continue to see more of that. This is how they're selling Trump. Let's see. So next story, this is an update from the last stream I did the other day with defending Angelo John Gage from this deliberate character assassination, deliberate misrepresentation, taking clips out of context to try to slander and censor Angelo and myself, and like they always do, shut it down every single time. So if you missed that, check that out. But this is just some updates. The perpetrator's response to Angelo and my video, the Mossad account with 132,000 subscribers, takes a screenshot of me showing them saying, "Stop trying to silence us from calling you a douche." That's the screenshot they took. They actually linked the video, which is dumb on their part. And they say here, quote, "Mossad troll accounts are trying to mess with American citizens who are trying to free our country from foreign influence." I suppose that's a quote they have here. What should we influence No More News and Angelo John Gage into doing? Agents. Well, they've been flagging, trying to get us censored, putting us on their billionaire organization-funded lists, trying to get us kicked off of our payment processors, video streaming, website hosts, all of it. So they got wrecked in the comments here. And of course, so many of them were doing what they always try to do, to try to, the sneaky, deceptive, deceitful way to try to ignore my arguments and to try to undermine my credibility. They try to say that I'm Jewish. Shows the mindsets of the type of people that are spreading that lie. And we also have Israel Advocacy Movement, which is the other people that put out the video that we addressed. And I challenged him to a debate at the very beginning when I started talking about this. No response from him about the debate, and inviting him on No More News to have a dialogue instead of editing together stuff out of context, trying to get people censored. And then what do they do? What do? They take a little clip of Angelo and I from the last video, And they say, this is why anti-Semites fear us. So they're reveling in the idea that we're fearful that we're going to be censored for exposing their Zionist agenda, for their prophecy obsession, their chosenness supremacist mindset. He says, to all of those that campaign against Jewish racism, your hard work is paying off. The anti-Semites are cowering. Very, very disingenuous to imply that we're cowering. We're doing anything but cowering. It's almost like they're trying to act like a troll and celebrate that we're talking about them. But let me play the clip, and then I got a few other comments to add. So here's Israel advocacy movement again. This is August 11th. Look at this. Anti-Jewish racism is out of control. Adopt IHRA. So they want Facebook and Twitter and all social media to adopt this insane Orwellian definition of anti-Semitism, where you can't talk about their control of anything, their loyalty, their racism, all the stuff that they do. And August 11th, and then August 12th, the next day, Facebook implements the biggest one, basically.
Yeah.
So here's Israel advocacy movement again. Well, I gotta say, I mean, he's sharing a little clip of some truth there about this ludicrous definition of anti-Semitism that I've covered extensively. And anybody that has any type of logic or reason knows it's a ridiculous definition that's to silence legitimate criticism. So he takes that little clip and he celebrates here. So he's like gloating in the censorship. We're making a video about them censoring us, and then they're bragging about censoring us for saying that they don't have the power to censor us. Like they're proving us right with their behavior here. And he doesn't want to debate. Apparently, he ignored that aspect. He just wants to gloat about the censoring, and he wants to joke about saying that I'm Jewish, which I'm not. And something else I wanted to add here is that, what was it? Oh, they're just getting demolished on Twitter in the comments, being very. Here's another one. He says, Angelo, John Gage, and Adam Green are two of the most followed anti-Semites on social media. I'm honored that he thinks that. Because, you know, they consider anti-Semites are people who don't want to be enslaved and resist their Zionist agenda, resist their chosen Zionist supremacist behavior. And I wasn't giving him credit when I showed. I should have clarified. I wasn't giving him and his organization credit for Facebook implementing this definition. They've been lobbying for this definition a long time. And Facebook even admitted that it was Ronald Lauder and the World Jewish Congress that forced them to implement this rule that you can't talk about them controlling the world or controlling any societal institution, is what the IRA definition says. So it was Ronald Lauder and the World Jewish Congress, you know, and billionaires. It was the ADL, it was Zionist Organization of America. It was all of the hundreds of special interest groups that are pro-Zionism. And if they try to crush anybody that exposes their control and their loyalty to a foreign state, their racist creed, any of it. And we're not cowering in fear. You're the one that's scared to come on and have a debate. I was thinking today, I've had many Jews, many people that disagree debating on my show before. First, there was Shlomo, who's lives in Jerusalem or the West Bank in Israel. He's Israeli. Debated him twice. Debated Andrew Meyer twice, who's in with Bloomer and all the Zionists. There was also Dr. Brown, Jewish Christian. I've got Gilad Atzmon on the show, not to debate, but he's Israeli. I had Corey Gil Schuster on. He's the Israeli that is behind the Ask Project. I debated a college student that works for Zionist Organization of America. I did that on Anomaly's channel. Wrecked him, embarrassed him. I've had Duvid on several times to debate as well. You guys can see all of these things. My arguments stand up to the two people's objections. So, I think that's about all. They are flagging Angelo. They have to censor us because our message and our information is too powerful and it's got too much truth behind it. The only way they can continue with their agenda is to censor us, is to silence us. Angelo got his videos up for 1 minute. American Jays, the mitzvah of rebuke. So talking about their religious belief, the mitzvahs, the commandments that they follow that influence their behavior and attitudes, can't talk about it. 2 minutes up, he got a strike. And I don't think he's not able to stream for a week. So that's how they roll. Here's some more death threats that he got right after his stream with me. More love from the Zionists, he says. It is from the email nazi@bigot.com. So they're just obsessed psychos creating emails, sending threatening stuff, trying to intimidate people into silence, trying to take away all of the audience's ability to support the information and the content creators they want. He says here that this is some chosen lovingness, tolerance right here. It says, "I hope your kids die of cancer, you nazifuck." This is the type of stuff that they're about. Here's another one that he got. They say, "Dear Angelo, hope you and your wife, including the baby, are safe." Oh, wait, never mind. This is a nice email from a Muslim saying he's sorry for the threats he's getting. In some other censorship news, High Impact Flicks was just banned last week. Red Elephants had his huge channels banned, several of them banned from YouTube, and now they're coming after him on BitChute. I just did a quick video about the ADL and the censorship with him up on BitChute the other day. Christopher John Bjerknes just had all of his books banned by Amazon. Bjerknes has been on the channel many times. He finally reached out to me and let me know that they're burning all of his work, his life work of over a dozen books. So got back in touch, and we might be talking with him soon about some of his latest research. All of his books banned from the big monopoly that's putting everybody out of business. Next story, we have the riots that were going on in Wisconsin, Kenosha. The father of the guy that got shot, of Jacob Blake Sr., big breaking news. He has a whole bunch of quote unquote anti-Semitic tweets that they found. I played the clip of him the other day from this speech where he was saying guilty, guilty, guilty. And I played the other interview he did where he said that the interviewer was like, "What do you say to people who said that your son was a criminal and he was reaching for a knife?" And he says, well, some people say they like Brussels sprouts. So we'll just say that he likes Jewish people about as much as he likes Brussels sprouts. They have dug up all of his tweets about Jewish people, and I feel like I'm seeing Hebrew Israelites everywhere nowadays. He's definitely a Hebrew Israelite. It's like the Nick Cannon fiasco, and these guys are Farrakhan followers. He says, "A Jew can't tell me shit, period." They say they control the interest rates, control the media, control the minds, and control the money. No lies detected. The Jewish media picks and chooses who is a terrorist and who is not. A Cracker J can do whatever to a white woman for years, but let a JIG try it. He says he calls black Trump supporters COONSs. He says he's with Farrakhan 100%. He puts a white Jesus in a toilet. And Biden just went and met with him today. And I believe the quote was that I saw that he said meeting with Biden and Kamala Harris was like talking to my sister and my uncle, just uncle, good old Uncle Biden. So that's an interesting twist. I guess maybe we won't be hearing much about Jacob Blake anymore. That one's going to be pushed under the rug, down in the memory hole. The whole Hebrew Israelites, it's like we got another group popping up that's gaining influence that thinks they're the chosen ones and they're the Jacob and we're Edom and Esau and that we're supposed to serve them. It's just like all these people obsessed with being chosen and wanting others to serve them. It's just you gotta disavow it wherever it's coming from. Just asinine. Another asinine story. Rachel Dolezal 2.0 here. Fellow black people. The case of the fellow black people. We have, she says, I absolutely cancel myself. African studies professor says she faked being black most her adult life. Admits she is white. A fellow white now, though. This is out today, September 3rd, 16 minutes ago. A professor at George Washington University. African studies. Wow, talking about taking the jobs of the black people. I just realized, when did I switch over from my Fox News? Anyway, we're back on Fox. We've got the Fox No More News t-shirts too. Made in America. Premium t-shirt quality. NoMoreNews.org. Get them before your size is out. So, African Studies, Jessica Krug, George Washington University, comes out of the race closet admitting she has faked being black much of her adult life after growing up as a, quote, white Jewish child in suburban Kansas City. She says, she's not a culture vulture, she's a culture leech. So she's disavowing her white privilege now, just like Rachel Dolezal, just like Talcum X. What is his real name? I don't even know his real name. What's Talcum X's real name? Krug said she believes in cancel culture, quote, as a necessary and righteous tool for those with less structural power to wield against those with more power. So, censor people with power. This is her mentality. So what she means is basically the white man. That's their narrative. White people are the only people that can be racist, the only people that can be censored, the only people that don't deserve the same laws and definitions and discriminatory policies as everybody else. The professor reportedly worked as an Afro-Latina activist in New York City under the alias Jess La Bombera. Wow, that's shameful. She had a Medium website channel. Post came as a shock to fellow activists. They said she's just light-skinned. Her black friends said she's light-skinned. She passes. It's alluring to try to go after that like victim minority status. It's an empowering, powerful place to be if you if they play their cards right, which they certainly try to do. Another this week's installment of Every Single Time with the fellow white people. We have Demi Lovato, singer and actress Demi Lovato, ashamed of her, quote, privilege. She says, quote, I hated that I shared the same skin color as the people accused of committing heinous crimes. And first of all, she looks, dark hair, dark features, but, of course, white European people. That's who she's implying. Demi Lovato's controversial, in other news, Demi Lovato's controversial trip to Israel included exploring her Jewish roots. So, and does she make apologies for her Jewish roots? Here's forward. She says, quote, "Sorry, not sorry. Demi Lovato visits Western Wall and sings with the Israelis." Another every single time situation where it's the white people. Just like Jonah Goldberg said that they're going to hire less, the actor, that they're going to hire less white people in Hollywood because of their white privilege. I mean, is there like a memo that's gone out to the secret meeting, or is this just something that manifests all of them independently, that they do this fellow white shtick? It's just amazing. Rita Katz behind the Site Intelligence Group. She's chirping in with the narrative that it's the white supremacists are the big threat in the country, not BLM and Antifa that literally are calling for revolution and death to America and beatings and openly want a Marxist revolution in the streets. No, they're all encouraged. They're all made excuses for. But she says, Rita Katz says, why Nazis are embracing any and all protest shooters. So Kyle Rittenhouse, they're saying, is it being embraced by the Nazis? And they're calling him a white supremacist. Such shameful slander and politicized that there's no low stoop that they won't stoop. They're shameless liars. They said, because extremists need instability to sell their ideas and validate their existence. Every shooter, regardless of what, quote, side they're on, contributes to creating a suitably chaotic, violent environment. It sounds like Duginism and the Soviet Anatoly Golitsyn agenda to subvert America by supporting the extremes on both sides. But, of course, the villain, the eternal villain, they're blaming white supremacists and right-wing extremists for all of the chaos while saying Antifa's a myth and they don't exist. And we both know who's behind who's behind the Marxism of BLM and Antifa. I'll have to link those Antifa and BLM videos below. So we have, this is the plan too. Here's a sarcastic parody headline. FBI uncovers white supremacist plot to just sit back and enjoy collapse of Democrat cities. Yeah, it's Antifa and BLM and the you-know-who media that is instigating and inciting all of the chaos in the streets. Very blatantly, as I've been documented. I documented in the last video at the end. Actually, that was the content we were covering. But no matter what, the way they're scripting all of it is that they're writing the history. They're lying about it. Jonathan Greenblatt says here, proud that ADL has joined with 500 Jewish orgs and synagogues from across the racial and political spectrum to unequivocally say BLM or Black Lives Matter. Please read the statement. So they are encouraging it. They're supporting it. They're deeply connected in with the NAACP as well. Trying to control the narrative with their experts in the media and trying to turn all of the minority groups and heap all evilness, the epitome of evil that they make white people, because their hatred and their deception of Jacob for Esau. They believe Esau and Edom and America and the Christian West will either serve them or be destroyed, and with the Noahide laws, they allow no criticism at all whatsoever. The first rule they implemented when the Bolsheviks took over with the Bolshevik Revolution, the Soviet Union, Lenin, was to make anti-Semitism, quote-unquote anti-Semitism, capital offense. And speaking of Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL, and how they're supporting BLM and mass immigration and constantly vilifying any white people that expose their agenda, their Zionist supremacist agenda. The true supremacists, the ones that think they're chosen by God, and that the Gentiles, the non-Jews, are inferior and here only to serve them, and that they're destined and chosen to be a light unto the nations. Just a little bit of a hypocrisy here. Wanted to share with you guys from the ADL. This is the ADL talking about, where is it? Zionism. Or this is what they have to say. Oh, I already opened them actually. Probably should do this in a more professional way. This is going to be good though. So the ADL article, response to common inaccuracies about the one state or the two state solution. And listen to what they say here and how hypocritical they are. So we have, the state of Israel was established out of the nationalist aspirations of the Jewish people and in international recognition of the rights of Jews to a homeland following millennia of persecution everywhere for no reason at all whatsoever. They say it'll guarantee equal treatment and protection for all citizens, regardless of religion, ethnicity, or color. We know that hasn't happened. And they say that Netanyahu says they follow the rule of the land. The law of the land is the Talmud, is what Netanyahu says. And they have the Jewish state law. They say a binational state, so the two-state solution in principle and in practice would mean the ideological end of the Jewish state of Israel and lead to the forsaking of Jewish nationalism and identity. So it is religious nationalism. That's what makes it unique. That's why they believe it's a race and a religion and a landmass. They believe they have a special connection to the land and that they need that land of the Temple Mount to fulfill their religion. And then they vilify the European people when they want to do the same thing. They push the exact opposite for them, as we're going to see. Furthermore, the the binationalism, which would be one state solution, which they don't want, is unworkable given current realities and historic animosities. What about the animosities with people in America? They don't ever take that into account. They're promoting animosities for European people. With historical high birth rates among the Palestinians and a possible influx of Palestinian refugees and their descendants now living around the world, Jews would quickly be a minority within a binational state, thus likely ending any semblance of equal representation and protections. In this situation, the Jewish population would be increasingly politically and potentially physically vulnerable. It is unrealistic and unacceptable to expect the state of Israel to voluntarily subvert its own sovereign existence and nationalist identity and become a vulnerable minority within that what was once its own territory. So they strongly, and they say the right to self-determination, meaning they get to do whatever they determine is right for them, whatever they want. Do the Palestinians get their right to self-determination? Do European Americans get their right to self-determination? If you swapped out this with Europeans, like, and you said this was an American group that was writing, oh, the Hispanic birth rates are exploding and we're going to be vulnerable and they don't like us and we're going to lose political power, they would say you're a white supremacist. But then they go on and do the exact opposite. They just have shameless chutzpah and are willing to try to get away with the most egregious double standards and hypocrisies every single time. They're the kings of hypocrisy. And this is what they say is the definition of white supremacy. And I'm not a white supremacist. I don't believe my people are chosen to rule over everybody else and be a light into the nations and lead the world into the messianic age. It's not me that thinks that all the non-people that aren't like me have satanic souls and are only here to serve me. It's not me that wants to rule over my neighbor or enslave them with usury, like it says in the Torah. It's not me that wants to oppress and have them working in the fields while I'm the managerial class and the nobility and the priestly nation that has a special relationship, a chosenness with the Creator. This is all them, and they think they can get away with calling anybody else supremacist. It's just chutzpah is the only way you can explain it. So the definition of white supremacy, they say: belief that the white race is in danger of extinction due to a rising flood of non-whites who are controlled and manipulated by Jews. I've done many videos showing, look at Barbara Specter, the ADL's activities. The groups are constantly pushing open borders. It's so heavily documented. They openly say it's happening. It needs to happen faster. It's a good thing. Biden says it's a good thing that they're going to become a minority in America, and then but he's also a strong Zionist. So they just talked about how they're scared of their race going extinct because the Palestinians, and then they're going to vilify. And this is Americans. Americans is a different story but they're pushing the same agenda all over Europe, all of the European countries, and it's about. I've shown in the prophecies as well. They believe this is Edom being destroyed, being conquered by numbers, as the rabbi said, by Ishmael, the Arabs in the Abraham's first son with the concubine. So the double standards are just sickening. And I have one more. If I can find it. Oh, here's another one I wanted to share with you. This is from the Talmud, Keratot 6b. It says, the Gemara explains, indeed they are not, as it is written, quote, and you, my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, are people, Adam. So remember, but the Kabbalists in Chabad believe that the Jews, there's two Adams. Adam, Kadmon, is androgynous, and there's two Adams. There's a holy, pure Adam, that is Jacob and the Jews, and this is their belief. I'm not saying this is true. This is what they believe, their supremacist beliefs that I'm exposing. And they believe that the evil, impure, satanic Adam is the Gentiles. So they have here, from which it is derived that you, the Jewish people, are called Adam, but Gentiles are not called Adam. This is the William Davidson Talmud translation, Sepharia, the top Talmud website. They think they're holy, we're satanic, we're evil, they are the light, we are the darkness. That's why it's so important to expose their religious supremacy. Okay. State of Israel. So there's Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL. The ADL will promote tweets from the Rebbe, who says that we have satanic souls and that we're a different species. He'll retweet, he'll promote tweets with quotes from the founder of Chabad, Lubavitch, who says that the Gentiles are a completely inferior order. And I think we've identified a problem, guys. It's not just that the Zionists are subverting and exploiting America for the benefits of the country where they have their true allegiance, the Christians and the extreme Zionist Jays. But here's former Jerusalem Post editor says Israel is unsafe in a, quote, America first world. So they can't allow Americans to be America first. Of course, Israel first is acceptable, but not America. They want to destroy America, destroy Edom. Here's QAnon and George Soros. But I noticed in the beginning when I said Trump is chosen, there was a couple stuff I wanted to show. They believe Trump is King Cyrus, that he's helping the Persian king that gave them power, Ezra, and I can't remember the other name. and told them to rebuild their temple, that they could go back and take the land and rebuild their temple. King Cyrus. Many have compared Trump to Cyrus. I've done videos on it. Zionism Exposed playlist. And Netanyahu even compared Trump to Cyrus. And breaking Israel news, the Kabbalah rabbis believe Trump is the head of Edom, so he's Esau, the one that the portion of Esau that's going to repent, and that Jacob and Esau are going to reunite and reconcile. And then the Esau that's going to persecute them, the Amalek Esau, is going to be destroyed. But they believe Trump is the repenting of Rome, of Christianity, of Edom, repenting for destroying the temple, which they believe has to happen and help the Christians to become Noahides. And they believe Trump could be the head of Edom, helping to rebuild the third temple. They've also several times compared Trump to the Messiah. The Chabad Lubavitch rabbis that are close with Giuliani, he's always been tied in close with the Chabad Lubavitchers. They believe Trump is the messianic figure. Hold on, what else do I have here? We showed this. Trump in Ukraine. Rabbis in Israel draw a parallel between Trump and the Messiah. It's like Trump is coming to save the world. I watched a documentary the other day that how Trump is coming out with the Abraham Accords. They're going to try to have the interfaith alliance of Islam, kosher Islam, Noahide Christians, Noahide Islam, with the one world religion from the temple, from Jerusalem. The rabbis have been saying, and the Christian Zionists have been saying, that the Muslims, some of these Muslims want to help them build the temple. They already consider Islam Noahide in Noahide compliance as well. And they call it the Abraham Accords. Okay. Next up, some QAnon. QAnon and George Soros was trending the other day. And Trump was on Laura Ingraham. What are they saying here? Oh, he mentions shadows.
I'd like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
that you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that...
What does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory. Dark shadows.
No,
what is
people that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets.
She says it sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it kind of does, but I mean, is she really trying to pretend that it's a conspiracy, that there's people that stay out of the spotlight and wield power from behind the scenes? Like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. They try to pull it every time.
There are people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend, and in the plane, it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms.
So he mentioned dark shadows, so everybody was saying, oh, dark shadows, QAnon, that means George Soros, and blame the Jews. They spin everything into anti-Semitism. They say, oh, you criticize Antifa, that's anti-Semitic. They say any criticism at all. You can't talk about their beliefs, their agenda. Nothing. Jonathan Greenblatt is calling for the head of Iran to be censored. He calls the Israelis and the UAE agreement, that he calls them filthy Zionist agents of the U.S. Zionist agents of the U.S. He wants that to be censored. He says, oh, that violates Twitter rules. We're not Zionist agents. Jonathan Greenblatt only has an office in Israel, and his whole job is to protect Israel and Jewish power and their exploitation and subversion of America and all the things they're doing. He says, oh, that's a harmful stereotype. People have always said that about us, so you can't say it anymore. It's not true because people have always said it. And what does he say? Jewish. Oh, he calls out Jewish members of Trump's family. So he apparently knows about Chabad Kushner. cruelty. He knows all about Kushner. Who do you see any photo ops of Kushner in America having reverence and this connection to any landmarks in America? He's clearly Israel first. There he is at the wall in a t-shirt. It's weird to see him in a t-shirt like that. And he's there at the wall. He's paying his tribute like they all do. The only other time I saw him go visit a site in America is when he went and visited the Rebbe's grave. Remember, he met the Rebbe and got the dollar as a young child. Was friends of Chabad at Harvard that his dad paid for him to get in. A lot of talk. I've been talking about it a long time, for years, that I think that Kushner, they may say Kushner is their Moshiach figure. And it's looking like he could be involved with politics, him and Ivanka following up with Trump. My prediction I made maybe 2 years ago now. I'll link some of those Kushner videos below as well. Oh, what am I? 50 minutes in. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? About halfway through. I'll speed it up a bit, though. All of the politicians, all of the Zog agents go and pay tribute to this wall, which many people say it's a Roman fort wall to begin with. But they're only so obsessed with the wall because it's where the temple's supposed to be. Can't understate their obsession with the temple. Oh, that's what I was supposed to see. The other definition of Zionism, ADL Zionism. ADL Zionist supremacy. Here it is. ADL Zionism. Listen to what the ADL says. I like this definition. Zionism is the Jewish national movement of self-determination in the land of Israel. So self-determination, they just get to do whatever they want. And if anybody criticizes it or objects, that's anti-Semitic. It's violating their right to self-determination. The historical birthplace and biblical homeland of the Jewish people. So again, always using the Bible as their mandate, the Bible as their real estate deed. While there was a continuous Jewish presence in the land of Israel for over the millennia, the yearning to return to Zion, the biblical term for both the land of Israel and Jerusalem, has been the cornerstone of Jewish religious life since the Jewish exile from the land 2,000 years ago. This is what I always say. Zionism is Judaism. There would be no Zionism without Judaism. And Zionism started as soon as the Second Temple was destroyed. They had been trying to go back. They had the Bar Kokhba revolt that they've been constantly trying to get it back. That's what led to getting the Ottomans out of power with their control over it in World War I and World War II. Without World War I and World War II, Israel wouldn't have been possible. They do everything they can to fulfill the prophecies, and they go, look, it's a miracle, when they pushed for it and advocated and followed it like a blueprint every step along the way. Here's the other part, though. It is embedded in Jewish prayer. They have the prayer next year in Jerusalem. They also have the daily prayer that says, thank God for not making me a goy or a non-Jew or a woman, also misogynistic. And they say it's embedded in Jewish prayer ritual. That means they want to have their ritual sacrifice. ADL supports the animal, red heifer, scapegoat ritual, blood atonement sacrifices that they want to let the blood flow. They want the blood to flow in the rebuilt temple with their Levite priests and their rituals, literature, and culture. There's Kushner. He's the one that's going to help him do it. Him and his Chabad Lubavitch wife. But maybe they're hitting some speed bumps. Apparently, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, right after the UAE deal, they were saying, oh, everybody else is lining up. Everybody's going to come and make peace now. We're all agreeing to make peace. And then the Christian Zionists kind Council for National Policy documentaries with their founder Tim LaHaye are like, European will come and declare peace with Israel, and then the tribulation and Gog and Magog and the rapture and everything will happen. It's just, we literally live in a dystopian end times. Literally, the CNP, the group Trump goes and speaks to. I just did the stream a couple days ago. The Council for National Policy, totally tied in with these people that are just completely end times fanatics, influencing our policy. But Saudi Arabia and Bahrain tell Kushner Israel ties will have to wait. They say they won't advance normalization until Saudi Arabia makes a move. Okay, so Bahrain wants Saudi Arabia to go first. And Saudi Arabia makes it clear that the Palestinian statehood must come first as U.S. advisor wraps up Gulf swing. So apparently, I don't know if it's the king of Saudi Arabia, because we know MBS, the prince, is very close with Kushner. So maybe it's MBS has to take over control before he screws over the Palestinians. It seems like they're holding out for the Palestinians, unlike the UAE did. So we will continue monitoring that story. Out of Jerusalem Post, this is yesterday. A Kremlin-backed group reminiscent of 2016. Kremlin-backed group create a fake liberal website in a network of false accounts spreading disinformation to assist Donald Trump in the November election. So I wouldn't doubt it for a second. I think both the Chabad Lubavitch Kosher Nostra Mafia that is so much influence with Likud and Putin, I think they want Trump to get elected. This is the Moscow, Tel Aviv, New York, Washington, D.C. Triangle that they got going here. They want Trump to win, just like Cambridge Analytica, side group, the shadow net people that was talked about in Millie Weaver, banned from Band.video documentary, caused her to get fired by Alex Jones. Now she's gone full Q. Couldn't script the Shill Wars drama. But anyway, I wouldn't doubt the Internet Agency. That's the name of it. I think I have the article up. No, it's the Internet Research Agency, the same one with the guy that owns it, that's close to Putin. I mean, every big powerful state has this. You know, the Israelis the Israelis have been busted doing the same exact thing multiple times. Let's see, Israel election. It was Africa where they got busted. Psy Group offered the same services with sock puppets. That's Joel Zamel, Psy Group, Israeli, Black Cube connected, Unit 8200, Mossad connected company. Let's see, Israel, Africa election. Here we go. This was, when was this? ARC 2019, May 2019. Facebook busts Israeli campaign to disrupt elections in Africa, Asian, and Latin American nations. Dozens of accounts, pages, and groups operated by private firm peddling fake news were deleted, tech giant says. So, undoubtedly, there is tons of bots, tons of disinformation campaigns. They flood the internet with fake propaganda because people like to go along with the herd. They're easily swayed by disinformation, and they're able to influence opinion by doing this. That's why they do it, because it's effective. Russia's doing it. I'm sure China's doing it. Any country with the capability, but I don't think any of them. Israel manipulates and meddles in our elections so much out in the open with impunity. Just imagine all the stuff they're doing behind the scenes. Not to mention, Whitney Webb's came on at the beginning of the year before COVID started and had an article talking about Unit 8200 Israeli companies were doing simulations of the 2020 election. They were doing these simulations supposedly for free offering them to America just out of the goodness of their hearts to get their tentacles and test everything. And they kept saying, oh, we're running these simulations and all these disasters are happening. And that the elections aren't coming through. And now we're seeing that then COVID hit and BLM and Antifa hit. And now the mail-in ballots issues is going. Trump made some ominous comments in his CMP speech the other day. The secretary at Homeland Security, he says, big things are coming. Big things are coming for Homeland Security. What's that about? He also said that this mail-in ballot thing, that there's it was news just today. They said, oh, experts say that the ballots are going to be messed up and they're going to find out that Trump cheated or that they found some new ballots or something like that. So there was a Washington Post article out today that said, I need to read Whitney's new article. She's got a new article. She just sent it to me about election manipulation, not to mention Microsoft's election guard, consisting with clouds and engineers over in Israel. It's just, we're so screwed. Okay, so that's that story. It honestly seems to me like they're throwing the election too, with Biden, like literally running a guy that's like got dementia, going senile, can't even talk, gonna get slaughtered in the debates by Trump. Even with the fact checkers, they're trying to get him out of floating the idea that they shouldn't even give Trump the credibility of a debate. But here, look at this latest Biden. Like every day, every time he goes out and speaks, he does this. I think they're just like a Don King boxing match where he would own both fighters and one guy they bet, and then they have one guy set up to take the fall guy. It's funny that they're close too. They promoted together. They know all about this. And Trump's also close to WWE wrestling and all the scripted theater false dichotomy that's going on there. Now we got Biden. The world's a stage, I know. We got Biden here. This is sad.
And stop your boast about never being seemed at what you can do anything. You always talk about your ability to negotiate. Negotiate a deal. A deal for somebody other than yourself.
So, I mean, I stutter over my words too, and he does it a lot, but I mean, it's just, it doesn't look good. When he does the stutter and he loses what he's talking about and he closes his eyes, it's just like so typical. It's almost sad. You feel bad for him. Like, what are they doing? Not only that, but is this really the best America has to offer? This is so pathetic. Both sides. This is funny. Washington Post opinions. Trump flies to Kenosha, but lands on Planet Zog. I should have made Planet Zog the title of this video. That would have been good. And I said, anti-Semitism alert. It is anti-Semitic to talk about Zionist-occupied America. The Zionist-occupied government. ZOA, Sheldon Adelson, all the donors on the left, they estimate, I think 50%, 2% of the population, 50% of the donations to the left. You don't believe me? 50% donations to elections. I have to show it because you wouldn't believe me. Less than 2% of the population. Half of all donations from the Jerusalem Post. Republicans, they say 25%. This was 2016. It may have changed since then. But we know about Apex, Notorious Power, Sheldon Adelson, Israel Firsters, Notorious Power. Trump lands on Planet Zog. Is this subliminal messaging? Is this hitting my subconscious mind that I'm living on Planet Zog with Trump? They literally said there was a bill, the anti-white supremacist bill they made for Representative King. It didn't. I don't think it passed, but they introduced it into whatever it's called, committee. they said Zog. That's condemned by the Congress. You can't talk about the people who have influence in Congress. Just like the definition at antisemitism.org says that you can't talk of their control over any societal institution. Planet Zog. We are living on Planet Zog. That'll have to be a headline, another video when we have particularly Zog. Ziopoly. That's what we live in, is a Ziopoly. So, True News, I caught some of their video the other day. I still need to see their USS Liberty documentary. Let me know in the chat if you guys saw the documentary. True News got some information from Israel that was reported in Israel that the government of Israel is funding John Hagee's Christian United for Israel, funded by the Israeli government. He is a lobbyist, an unregistered lobbyist of the Israeli government, and he's pushing IDF propaganda constantly, pro-Israel, pro-IDF, pro-militaristic, saying bomb Iran, take out Assad, all of their narrative. Duping the Christians of America. John Hagee is on the stage with disgraced Epstein lawyer and friend, underwear on for his massage, Alan Dershowitz. Him and Hagee are up on the stage signing the executive order where Trump says, no more I'm going to stand up for free speech by censoring so nobody on college campuses can criticize Israel and so they can shut down BDS. Like he mentioned it, Trump mentioned this, that he's standing up for freedom of speech on college campuses and in schools. He said it at his RNC acceptance speech. And meanwhile, his executive order is implementing this definition of anti-Semitism where you can't criticize anything. And the other person that it was revealed, and Rick Weil says he's trying to get in contact with the government, filing a complaint to get them investigated as being unregistered propagandists and agents of a foreign country. That's pretty sure a felony. And this woman named Lori Cardoza Moore also was funded by the Israeli government. And they say that this Lori Cardoza Moore is a major critic of True News. So the Israeli government is paying American citizens, not just American citizens, but we've got the people I talked about attacking me and others. This is international. This is people from Australia, England, Israel, all trying to shut down us talking about their control in our country. And so this woman's been a big critic attacking True News being funded by the Israeli government. Just not a surprise. We knew this kind of thing was happening, but to now have it be official. And why is this not big news? Shouldn't this be big news that he's being paid? Or everybody just assumed he was being paid maybe. I did. I know Falwell was given a private jet by, maybe it was a jumbo jet, by Menachem Begin, the Likud prime minister of Israel, that did the King bombing hotel. Terrorist, proud terrorist. Other news. Give me a thumbs up, guys, in the chat. Maybe it'll still help the algorithm. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Share the video. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. Share the information. Continue to educate yourselves. Next story. Times of Israel. Main suspect in Eilat gang rape. I covered this the other day. It was, I believe, 30 Israelis ran a TRAIN on a 16-year-old Israeli girl. So disgusting. And now we have an update here. The main suspect lured the teen by saying he was a medic. How deceptive. How deceptive and disgusting. Here, let's read this story. I want to see how many people were initially named. This just happened. This was in the news a few months ago. it was like 14 teenage boys did the same thing, and then they were celebrating when they got out and calling her a shiksa and, you know, words I'm not allowed to say on YouTube. The 16-year-old girl. I could have sworn it was 30 people at first. Anyway, I didn't see it right away, but let's continue on. We also have, this is just September 1st, 2020, prominent rabbi accused of groping unidentified as mystic Shrieky. 3 women filed police complaints accusing their religious leader of sexual misconduct when they came to him for counsel, preying on the desperate, preying on the needy, preying on the broken that need counseling. And this reminds me of, let's see if we can find it. I'm just doing rabbi sex case. Oh, what is this one? 2020, March 3rd. Is this the rabbi? He looked like a wizard, this guy. A lot popped up. Here, there's this one. Court upholds 21.7 verdict against rabbi in sex abuse case. Brooklyn's Daniel Greer. Oh, I tried to find it before we started too. You guys know? Where's the chat? Let me know the name of the rabbi that got in trouble. They said like, oh, he couldn't do that. It couldn't be. He couldn't have raped anybody because he's holy and he's pure, and when he does it, it's okay. He had a cult like. Maybe if I do that, cult rabbi Israel sex. This might be it. Show me the picture. So many examples, I can't find the one I'm thinking of. Jerusalem cult rabbi held on claims of, and this is just, I'm just reading headlines, guys, here. This is, can't censor me just for reading headlines of Jewish press. Jerusalem cult rabbi held on claims of enslaving and sexually abusing dozens of women. Small children at his compound as well. And, okay, let's see here. Rabbi. I'm going to do news. Oh my God, there's so many. Maybe I can find a video. Here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. Prominent sex offender rabbi Berland arrested in Jerusalem. Over 200 complaints. Oh my gosh, 200. How do you continue to get away with it after the first couple of complaints? Exploitation of the desperately ill. Protesters clash with police during arrest of leader of cult-like sect. Ultra-Orthodox. 200 complaints. And they made excuses for him. So this is just an all too common occurrence. Okay. Very problematic, very disturbing. Sheldon Adelson in the news. Excuse me. We're about to wrap it up here too. Thanks everybody for watching. Please share. Please share the stream. Get a t-shirt and wake up people. They go, oh, nice shirt. I tell you, I get compliments on this shirt and my Trump They Live shirt all the time. It says no more news on it. Just tell them, hey, they say nice shirt, say nomorenews.org. You could wake up a person to all of this Zionist end times insanity. Times of Israel. Adelson in talks to buy U.S. ambassador residence for NIS for $300 million. The embassy owns this building. It's where the ambassador had been staying. Beachfront property. David Friedman, the ambassador, used to stay there. It's Israel's most expensive property. They had the... So apparently the ambassador Friedman to Israel is like a king living in the Israel's most expensive property. Sheldon Adelson wants to buy it for $300 million. He's worth I think $7 billion or something like that. And the reason he wants to buy it, this is interesting. If the embassy, it's the most expensive building ever. Since the embassy, I had this highlighted, since the embassy moved to Jerusalem, it's no longer needed. So he wants to buy this. Gosh, I had it highlighted. He wants to buy it so that they can't move the embassy back to this place. So that the embassy is permanent in Jerusalem. Adelson offered to pay for the embassy to be built. And then he also was angry at Trump that he didn't build it immediately. And then they brag, this is the biggest promise that Trump kept to his donors was building the embassy and breaking up the Iran deal. He ran on America First platform, and his biggest promises kept and his biggest accomplishments are all to a foreign country. Interesting, the most expensive home sold in Israel before this one is Russian-Israeli billionaire Roman Abramovich. Mr. Roman owns Chelsea United, who is the soccer team, football team here out of America, that is always doing pro-Israel propaganda. Roman Abramovich is extremely close to Putin. Abramovich allegedly bought Putin a $50 million yacht. By the time Putin became president in the year 2000, Abramovich played a key role in shaping the new government. Roman Abramovich, starting in 1999, Putin enlists two of his closest confidants, the oligarchs Lev Leviev, a diamond kingpin, and Roman Abramovich, who would go on to become Chabad's biggest patrons worldwide, to create the Federation of Jewish Communities of Russia under the leadership of the Chabad Rabbi Berel Lazar, who would come to be known as Putin's rabbi. This is from this article, the happy-go-lucky Jewish group that connects Trump and Putin. Putin's closest confidants are oligarchs, Russian, Israeli, Jewish oligarchs, who are Chabad's biggest patrons. Chabad behind Putin and behind Trump. Almost done here, guys. Thanks everybody for sticking with. You guys are the best. Okay, and I can't find the exact quote, but he wants to buy it just so they can't move back. Can't find where it says it. Now we have Richard Grenell, high-level Trump administration, Trump ally. He's the big pro-LGBTQ Republican for Trump. He's a hardcore Christian Zionist. I've covered him in the past when he was appointed to head the FBI's, be the FBI or the intelligence czar above all 17 of the agencies. And there was a quote from him that if you're not a pro-Israel Christian Zionist, that like you're dead to him or something like that. You know, maybe I can find it. Let's see what a search for. Grenell. We got it. Save everything. Trump names Richard Grenell as acting head of intelligence. ZOA celebrates, strongly praises appointment of Ambassador Rick Grenell as head, a close ally to the Zionist Organization of America, acting as the National Intelligence Director. Just like we have the head of the NSA is Ann Neuberger, who's also comes from the ultra-Orthodox Chabad city of in New York, and is Orthodox herself. Just to read this quote here. Oh, come on, please open. I'm having issues where I try to open a image file and it doesn't come up. It comes up white. So now it's just opening slow. Just little glitches, computer problems. Okay, here we go. He says, importance of our country's great security interests. There has never been a better friend of strong U.S.-Israel relationship than Ambassador Grenell. He was the ambassador to... All right, I don't think... I'm not seeing where it says you're only a Christian Zionist if you're friends with him. I must have read that straight from the article, but this is what he says. Made his embassy employees when he was in Germany, Christians, Muslims, and Jews to wear kippahs because Grinnell thinks wearing a kippah in Germany is dangerous. Would Trump ask his White House staff to do the same? So this Christian Zionist Israel fanatic had all of his government employees, his embassy employees, put on a kippah.
When the czar, is what his title was, the anti-Semitism czar, came out in Berlin and said, you know, Jews should be wearing a kippah, I was just stunned because I know it's dangerous, and I wasn't denying the fact that wearing a kippah in public is dangerous, but I thought the exact opposite is what should be done. So I immediately put on a kippah. I wore it for a while.
Shabbos.
I instructed the embassy, every single person in the embassy, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, or a non-believer.
So that's what he's about. Put on the kippah, Goy, or you're fired. And to have this guy appointed there and Pompeo, it's just like people that are like yearning for the end times and yearning for apocalyptic wars. That's who's got their fingers on the button. Okay, update on InfoWars. QAnon update. This one out of Right Wing Watch. Alex Jones is hiring QAnon conspiracy theorist. Now remember Alex Jones, I've done a whole video. Alex Jones exposes QAnon. It was being a sarcastic title because it's him promoting QAnon and saying that he's gonna expose it, but then he never did. But here's Jones early on with Jerome Corsi, also counsel for national policy and a hardcore Zionist who he hired from WorldNet Daily, ultra Zionist media, WorldNet Daily, saying QAnon is a group in the Pentagon very close to President Trump. And I wouldn't doubt if it is some high-level military intelligence special operations command psyop to hijack the conspiracy movement instead of hijack them to support the two-party system, and instead of recognizing Trump as a pawn and a Zionist traitor of a foreign government and foreign power, that he's a hero that's going to save America from the cabal.
In the Pentagon. QAnon. Amazon? I know you know QAnon's identity, but yes, obviously we're not going to, and I've confirmed as well, QAnon is a group in the Pentagon.
And very close to Donald. But I do know.
QAnon. Amazon? I know you know QAnon's identity, but yes, obviously we're not going to, and I've confirmed as well, QAnon is a group in the Pentagon.
And very close to Donald. But I do know.
Very close to Donald Trump. And then Trump pretends like he doesn't know much about it. Of course he does. He knows all about Q. They laugh to themselves. They laugh about how everybody's worshiping, being duped into this psyop, into worshiping Trump. And that's it. QAnon people think, oh, QAnon's real. It's all real because we're being censored and they're attacking us. Well, QAnon is good helping Trump to get reelected. It's gotten a sycophantic, cult-like large group to support him. So the left doesn't like that. They wanna be in power. They want the power. They want the influence. That's why a lot of the Zionists are being censored too. They're getting caught up in they're casualties of the left-right game of these people vying for power. The secular Zionist versus the secular communist Zionist versus the religious end times Zionist that are also kind of Bolsheviks as well. But here is I called this too. Oops. I predicted this. I saw this QAnon lady, Deanne Lorraine, the day or two after Alex Jones fired Millie Weaver. He had her in studio, and I tweeted it out. I retweeted it too and showed that I called it before in a month in advance. I said, oh, Jones found his replacement for Minnie. And here she is. She's hired. A Trump QAnon sycophant.
Deanna Lorraine wanted to take a few days off, visit some friends in Florida before she went out to California, got her stuff and moved to Texas to co-host shows with us here, knocking it out of the park. Folks love her. We love her. She's smart. Does a great job. Known her for years.
I think Jones loves her. Jones's new love interest. Now, this is breaking today, too. I think this is probably what Magic Johnson is. I bet you Magic Johnson is talking about this. But ESPN host Stephen A. Smith, who I just covered in a video a couple weeks ago, he was talking about anti-Semitism from one of these athletes. And really, he was going full Nick Cannon. He's just another Nick Cannon. He knows who butters his bread, who owns ESPN at the top. I think it was Disney and Disney's CEO and number 2 every single time. Early life check. Anyway, he says that Steve Nash, one of the best point guards of all time. Remember, I used to play basketball. I know Steve Nash well. One of the smartest, best point guards and playmakers, and 2-time MVP, I believe, Steve Nash. Most NBA organizations would be dying to hire this guy as a head coach. He mentored. He was a big mentor to Stephen Curry, who is one of the best point guards and shooters in NBA history. He says Steve Nash, they gave him a head coach job, and he comes out and says it's white privilege. White privilege.
This is respect that he has around the experience that obviously he has as a coach. It is him. It happened for Steve Kerr, who had never coached on any level before, but he took over Golden State, and look at the job that he's done. Steve Nash is widely respected in NBA. Congratulations to him, but this ain't about him, what I'm about to say. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way around this. This is white privilege.
White privilege. One of the best basketball players, because there's too many white people in the NBA. White privilege. And he's probably doing this just because he wants to be trending. He wants to say something controversial. He wants to please his masters, the real fellow white supremacists, the people who really have privilege. Let me show you something. Percentage Jew owners. Remember the owner of the Clippers? Donald Sterling said that basically they're his slaves, and in Israel they treat them like second-class citizens, and he buys them houses and cars, and they're nothing without him. Let's see if this comes up here. Forward. This is the Jewish Daily Forward. Oh, come on. Why are so many pro basketball owners chosen? Why are they all chosen ones? He wants to talk about Steve Kerr gets a job and it's white privilege. When will he come out and comment about this discrepancy, not discrepancy, this statistical significant anomaly? 2% of the population. I believe it's almost half or a third of the owners of the NBA. But he wants to say, white privilege. NBA, there's a white privilege problem in the NBA. Amazing. This is the reality of the 2020 election we got going on here. In fact, you should put a big Israeli flag. It should be an Israeli flag here in the front, I'd say. But this is, and Trump should at least have 1 foot on America, because he may put out some good talking points, and he may be on the right side of some issues, but he still also is screwing America at the same time. But this is our choices, 2020. I posted this on Twitter. I'm going to have to hide it just a second because I don't want to show. The next one I can't show, but it's just envision this. This will get me taken down. You can't show the symbol of the Zionist Organization of America on Twitter or on YouTube, the hexagram. But on the left, it's called left-right paradigm. On the left, I have a hammer and sickle and Marx. On the right, I have founder of modern Zionism, Theodore Herzl, and a Star of David, so-called Seal of Solomon. And then we could show this one. Fox News. This is another two-party illusion. We've got, these are both paintings that Epstein had. He had Bush here playing with a paper airplane, and there's two towers and blocks that are knocked over that I stupidly covered with these photos of Trump and Clinton's chumming it up. And then also Bill Clinton in his blue dress. Remember the blue dress? Monica Lewinsky. A lot of speculation and possibility that that was some type of Mossad blackmail. At least they had the tapes. Reported that they blackmailed Clinton. Netanyahu blackmailed Clinton with Lewinsky tapes. And they tried to get Pollard. Hour and a half, we're about to wrap it up. The last story. And Trump, of course, he's always hugging the flag, but really he's embracing Israel flag first. And I'm predicting still, I think Trump is going to win decisively or maybe indecisively, and then there's just going to be chaos in America. I think Whitney Webb could be right. We might not make it through the next election. They're running the simulations. Let me show this. They're running the simulations. Election security issues. Israel's trying to step in with their cybersecurity to protect us, to protect the integrity of our elections. Here we go. This is Washington Post today. Perspective, the election will likely spark violence and constitutional crisis. Trump was saying very similar stuff. He says our America will never be the same. This could be an embarrassment, a catastrophe. They could unleash purge level chaos at the end of 2020. The whole COVID, the whole BLM Antifa, it's like a powder keg. The racial relations, the media has been instigating. What do you guys think? Anyway, so we will see. Stay tuned for what's going down in the rest of 2020. And when the election starts, it's just beginning. I think Trump is going to win, and I think they are going to continue marching with their Zionist agenda. I think he's going to keep giving Israel everything they want. I think they're going to be pushing for possibly to rebuild the temple, or maybe that'll happen when it's Ivanka and Kushner in 2024. Whoops, don't want to show that. Okay, now one more announcement. This is when you share links on BitChute now. Hate Not Hope complained about BitChute. So now Twitter, anytime you share a link of BitChute on Twitter, this is what Twitter does to you. Scares people away. Warning, this link may be unsafe. It's just BitChute. We've been on BitChute for a long time. Vince from the Red Elephants had me on the other day. We talked about ADL going after BitChute. He's being targeted and smeared. That's up on, it was top trending the other day. It's up on his BitChute channel if you guys missed that and wanted to see my appearance over there. He was recently just kicked off of YouTube. And that is all for today, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Very important. I'll get people in the comments and they'll say, "Hey, you should start a website, or you should have a newsletter." And then I say, I literally promote it at the beginning of every and the beginning and end of every video. NoMoreNews.org. Contact if you want to get in contact with me. Donate page if you guys are in the position to support. Every dollar helps. I can't do it without you. Completely supported by the listeners. No More News wouldn't be here without you guys. You make it all possible. And I appreciate everybody that has donated and even who hasn't. People that just share the videos. That's just as important. If we're able to help, please help. You got to support information, independent media that you value. Because we're going up against the foundations, the billionaires, with an endless supply. NoMoreNews.org. The t-shirts, get them before they're gone. I got limited order. No More News, Trump shirt. Trump, they live. It's People like him, starts a conversation, meet like-minded people, be a walking billboard, icebreaker to talk to people about no more news. Because we're going to spread this message. It's going to enlighten the world. It's not going to be on YouTube. I'm still here for now, but I'm heavily suppressed. The channel's growing slower than ever. Views are down more than ever. I'm hanging on by a thread. And the algorithms aren't going to get the message out. They're doing everything they can to suppress. So it's really up to you guys. Yeah, I see people mentioning stickers. I'll consider stickers also. Try to wake people up. Thanks everybody for watching. Let's empty the chest. Thanks everybody for watching on DLive. I'll probably be doing a DLive exclusive very soon. DLive. Everybody subscribe to DLive, to BitChute, all the links. Brand new tube. Support on Patreon, P.O. Box, Bitcoin. Through the donate page. There's a box also through the website. Empty the chest. Thanks everybody on DLive. All right, Planet Zog. Checking out from Planet Zog. Everybody take care. Have a nice night. Oh, let's